This week we have Frieren Beyond Journey's End.
What's that?
It's an anime.
I imagine as much. I was like asking for like context.
A fantasy style anime that this basically takes place after the journey to kill the demon lord.
Okay.
So this is what happens after.
Oh, afterwards?
Yeah.
Huh.
Kind of a weird thing. That's why it's called Beyond Journey's End.
Oh.
And Frieren is the mage, an elven mage. So episode 1 is called The Journey's End. After defeating the demon lord, hero Heimel, priest Hyder, and dwarf warrior Eisen.
His name is, say his name again?
Heimel and Hyder.
Oh, so okay, so he's a Nazi.
Like a German. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like exactly Henrik Himmler. Oh my God.
It's Himmel or Heimel. I can't.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Zing higher.
So hero.
By the way, have you ever played South Park: The Stick of Truth?
Yes.
They put the actual dialogue from Adolf Hitler's speeches in the game.
Have you seen that they also redid it in English now with AI?
The game?
No, the actual speech.
Does it sound horrendous?
It sounds even worse than what you would think from German.
I don't know how much.
Like, oh,
German's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, when you hear it in English, it's like, damn, dude. It's like, bro. So yes, Hyder, priest Hyder.
Oh Lord.
Dwarf warrior Eisen.
That's my boy right there. I'm always a dwarf.
With a little, like, what you would expect from, like, a Viking warrior where they have the horns on the ends.
Yeah, well, I hate to break the news to people.
Yeah, they didn't have...
That's not historically accurate.
No. No, it's not. And the elfin mage Frieren return to the royal capital. Heimel, Hyder, and Eisen are ready to settle down after their 10-year adventure, but...
10 fucking years? Holy shit.
Yeah. But Frieren, whose lifespan lasts thousands of years, considers 10 years barely noticeable and plans to travel and learn new spells.
Like a weekend for him.
Yeah. Basically, like, she's like, oh, okay. They watch the Era meteor shower together, with Frieren promising to show them a better place to watch it during the next shower in 50 years.
50 fucking years, man.
Yeah.
Wait, how, any humans?
2 of them are humans.
I mean, they'll be dead by then.
Then one's a dwarf.
What's the dwarf's lifespan? They're pretty long too.
Pretty long, but not
eternal.
Not as long as an elf.
Yeah, because isn't it in the Middle Earth? It's like elves are immortal.
Yeah.
Where dwarves are long-lived, but humans were really long-lived too.
Comparative to, like, regular humans.
Like to us now. Like back then, like wasn't freaking Aragorn like 90 years old?
I think so. Well, he was half elf.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, he was half elf.
Okay.
So that explains why he...
Because mom had jungle fever. Because I know hobbits had a longer lifespan, because Bilbo was like, wasn't he 50 when he had his first adventure?
He was, but also there's a thing where they think the ring extended his lifespan.
Just his?
Yeah. Compared to as long. Like, they don't have as long of a lifespan as Bilbo Baggins did.
Oh, yeah, because Smeagol was like a hobbit, but he lived for like almost like 100 years or something.
Right, because of the ring.
That ring really fucked him up, though.
Yes, it did. So, 50 years later, Frieren returns and finds Heimel and Hyder are elderly.
No, you don't say.
Yeah. While Eisen is middle-aged, the dwarf.
Middle-aged? Now, what is middle-aged, actually, categorized as?
Middle-aged would be 30s to 40s.
Uh-oh.
Like 30 through almost like 50.
I know, I'm an old fucking man.
I would consider that middle-aged.
Okay.
Like younger middle-aged. Oh, well, then again, now with medical treatments.
Yeah, I was about to say, we got to start, adding, a different...
Yeah.
People can live to, 100 and be all right.
Yeah. Think about it. Look at the things Betty White was doing at almost 100.
And she was fucking at 102.
After she was dead already.
She's like, I don't know how when she died.
99.
But she was laying pipe down.
She was 99, but she was up doing stuff. She wasn't inactive.
Right.
Like obviously you still get a bunch of people like that.
I think it also takes some personality. I know some people that are in their 20s that act like they're 50, 80 years old.
I agree.
They just want to be old.
Yeah, that's why I don't look at age necessarily. As I get older, I don't look at it as oh, I'm getting older. It's I still do the same shit I used to do. Still like the same things I used to like. It hasn't changed for me.
With a caveat. You have to, age doesn't matter. The police will To say different.
Oh, obviously, yeah.
Highly different.
Obviously, like in that respect, yes. But I mean, like physically, I don't feel much different than what I've always felt like.
I'm 97 years old.
It's been 97 when you were like,
Yeah. If I get up right now, my fucking asshole will explode.
So, after retrieving a dragon horn from Heimel, they go on one last adventure to watch the meteors again. Heimel dies of old age shortly after the trip. At Heimel's funeral,
This fucking drops dead.
yeah, feel like he was old.
Well, damn. Why'd you wait 50 years? Why could it be 5?
Not for her. At Heimel's funeral, Frieren tearfully realizes she never really got to know him and decides to learn as much about humans as possible. 20 years later,
Oh my god, it is just fucking booking it.
that's how we get to a certain point, yeah.
Does it finally like settle out?
A little bit, yeah.
God.
20 years later, she returns and finds the now elderly, extremely elderly Hyder has adopted a war orphan, 9-year-old Fern.
Hyder's that dwarf, right?
No, Hyder is the priest. So he's extremely elderly at this point, like 90s,
All right, because he was 20 years later. Right.
20 years after the 50s.
Just
So that's 70,
70 years later. So he was
like 90 to 100.
God dang.
And he's adopted a war orphan, 9-year-old Fern. Fern has potential as a mage, and Hyder, who has come to fear death in his old age, asks Frieren to research life-extending magic and tutor Fern in her spare time. Frieren agrees after finding Fern is already remarkably skilled despite her youth.
Good old prodigy.
And it's like Hyder used to drink and gamble and all the things you wouldn't expect from a priest.
Or all the things you do expect from a priest nowadays.
But now because he used to not worry about death, and now that he's so old, it's like,
Yeah, and once you get old, you're like, uh-oh.
yeah, he's fearing death at this point. Episode 2 is It Didn't Have to Be Magic, is the title of it.
Or just healthy living. Eat. Well, episode's ruined. He dropped the papers. We'll see you on the next one.
So, Frieren spends 4 years tutoring Fern while translating an ancient grimoire concerning immortality. Hyder becomes bedridden, and Fern trains nonstop, wanting Hyder to see her become a mage. She reveals after the deaths of her parents, Hyder stopped her from committing suicide, so to repay him, she needs to prove she can survive on her own. And this is the 9-year-old girl.
Who is now 11?
Yeah. Well,
2 years old.
4 years.
Oh, so now she's
4 years of tutoring, so 13
okay.
ish. Freyren's translation reveals nothing about life extension.
Fuck.
Which Hyder already knew, apparently. It was just an excuse to have Frieren train Fern.
Oh,
It was the only way to get her to stay to train.
he just dies of a heart attack.
Hyder dies shortly afterwards. So Fern joins Frieren on her travels, but is confused by the effort Frieren puts into learning spells, even silly ones. Because Frieren likes to go and find unique, weird spells and like weird grimoires and stuff.
Like, I like to find weird, odd stories and news.
Yeah. In a certain village, they find a statue of Heimel that Frieren is compelled to decorate with blue moon weed, a flower from Heimel's village. As it is extinct, they spend 6 months searching for even a single flower so Frieren can save it. Fern is frustrated Frieren could be helping the world, yet waste years on seemingly pointless tasks. Because again, she's immortal, basically. Like, she doesn't think about time in the same way. Frieren reveals Heimel inspired her spell collecting to prevent the apathy caused by her lifespan. So it's like he told her, it's like, why don't you find spells you like unique random spells, because it gives her life meaning, her being immortal and everything, you know. Eventually, they find the flower and a seed rat nest, allowing Frieren to create a field of them in Heimel's memory. Fern realizes it is important to have passion, but be it for magic or anything else. So it's like a life lesson almost of don't rush through life trying to find stuff that's useless.
Okay.
It's a good, moral, basically. Episode 3 is called Killing Magic.
Oh.
So Fern notices Frieren acting suspicious and follows her on several unusual and dangerous shops. Frieren admits despite her efforts, she has learned almost nothing about Fern and was trying to think of a gift for Fern's birthday. Fern is happier knowing Frieren at least tried to learn about her. Because again, like Frieren used to not care about humans at all. She was just like no emotion about it. Like she really just didn't give a shit.
Hmm.
Frieren decides to revisit places that she had visited with Heimel, Hyder, and Eisen. The first place is a village where Frieren sealed away Qual, the demon of corruption, during their 10-year.
So I thought they killed him.
Well, it's a demon. It's one of the generals that were part. They sealed him away, though. The seal will break soon, so Frieren must defeat Qual. She is surprised to learn Heimel checked the seal every year until he had died, and was always confident Frieren would visit before it broke. So the hero coming through, even as an elderly man, checking to make sure the seal's still good.
He's just fucking checking locks. It's okay.
It's good. Frieren reveals Qual invented a killing spell that bypassed all barriers and armor to strike the body directly, which was so powerful at the time, she could only manage to seal rather than destroy him. Qual, the demon, is unsealed, but Frieren reveals in the 80 years that since she had originally sealed this demon, he has been asleep. Human mages learned and reverse engineered his spell, allowing them to develop new defense spells to block it. Because it's been 80 years, so they figured stuff out. Unable to harm them, Qual is easily killed when Frieren uses her own spell on him, which he does not know how to block, because it's been 80 years.
So this comes down and gets fucked up. Especially if you've been trapped for 80 years, like you've been contemplating.
Yeah.
Like the minute I get, I'm gonna fuck everyone up. The second I step out of this fucking room, I guarantee I'm gonna tear this village up. And he steps out and gets completely smoked.
Pretty much, yes. Frieren realizes the village elder is a boy she met at the village 80 years ago,
Jesus.
reminding her fondly of Heimel. Fern also points out Heimel must have had a deep trust in Frieren to be so certain that she would return to deal with Qual, the demon.
She'll be back.
Basically, he put trust in her even though she was kind of like apathetic to everything. Episode 4. The Land Where Souls Rest. In exchange for cleaning a beach, Frieren received a grimoire written by the famous mage Flame, or Flamme, even though it is a fake. The work is finished by New Year, where the locals traditionally watch the sunrise. Frieren, a notoriously late sleeper, missed the sunrise during her last visit, upsetting her friends. Her hero group, because she slept in, because she never wants to wake up for shit. Because again, being immortal, she don't care about wasting a day or two. This time she makes it, but finds the sunrise dull, until she sees Fern enjoying herself and realizes why missing it last time upset everyone, because they were supposed to go together. They then visit Eisen's home, not having seen him in 30 years.
The dwarf?
The long-ass time.
He'd be elderly now, wouldn't he? Or he'd still
be
middle-aged?
Technically middle-aged, I think. He asks for help searching for Vol Basin, for Flam's genuine grimoire, as Flam supposedly found a way to speak to the dead, and he thinks it would be beneficial for Frieren to speak with Heimel one more time, since Heimel's dead.
Right.
Frieren recalls Flam was her human master 1,000 years ago, who instructed her to find her home, to find her home if she ever felt regret and wanted to speak to the dead. Frieren recovers the genuine grimoire, which describes where all souls go, Auriel, as the northernmost point of the continent where the Demon Lord's castle is located, where they actually killed the Demon Lord.
Okay.
On the way home, Eisen is happy Frieren is learning to care about people and is a good teacher to Fern. Frieren asks Eisen to accompany them to Auriel, but Eisen declines, citing he would slow them down in his old age. However, Eisen also reminds them that their original adventure to the Demon King's castle took 10 years, which Frieren acknowledges. So it's like, I can't do 10 years of this. Like, good God, woman. You want to go do this again? Like, I just did this.
Like, the mind is willing, but the body's weak.
Episode 5 is called Phantoms of the Dead. So Frieren acknowledges 10 years is potentially a tenth of Fern's lifespan, but Fern decides to follow her. A short way into the journey, they enter a village where several people disappeared after seeing ghosts of their deceased relatives. Frieren suspects an Einsam, a monster that lures victims with illusion magic. So basically, like, tricks them into thinking that they see a loved one or something like that, and kills them with after seeing the illusion.
And Casimir just put a big old booty on there.
It's like, here you go.
I'll be cut instantly.
The illusions are easily destroyed with attack magic, but as this involves attacking the ghost of people that they loved, even experienced warriors cannot fight back and become its prey.
Damn.
So it's like their wives or their children. It'll put an illusion of whatever you care about the most.
Start to find how cold-hearted I actually am. They suck a 7-year-old in the.
So Fern is almost caught by Hyder's ghost, but Frieren easily shoots Heimel's ghost.
Shoots with what?
Magic.
Oh.
Like attack magic. So Fern can't kill the priest that she's seen in this illusion, but Frieren just kills Heimel's.
I used to play Merwin a lot back when I had the 60 on the just regular Xbox, and they have friendly fire in the game, so you could actually hit one of your teammates or allies in the game.
Yeah,
and they will just aggro on you, and now you have to kill them, and it's like, oh shit. So I was hired by the Mages Guild to escort this mage from Sedanine to Vivek or some shit like that.
Yeah,
and we're walking. And this creature in the distance, we're walking between two mountain cliffs, right? Well, there's like in between like two mountain ridges.
Yeah.
And we're walking in this little path between them. And I noticed this creature in the distance, and I run after it, pull my sword out, and I'm like, here we go, about to beat this ass. This motherfucker, mage behind me, throws a fireball that kills me, kills the creature, kills everybody in that fucking half-mile radius. And I'm thinking, why do you need me to escort you anywhere
when you can already defend yourself?
You fucking blew up half the town with one blast. Like I just remember running toward the creature, and I remember a fireball igniting right next to me. And they just going,
where you just, and you have that cut screen of you dying.
And they just drops dead, and they make this noise when they drop dead.
Yeah, I never understood that. Like where you always you escort people that are way stronger than you.
And it's like, what? I guess they don't know the directions. I don't know who the fuck knows. But
like Zoro, and they just don't know where the hell.
I have to make sure not to fucking get in his way.
You take care of him.
God, that was crazy.
All right, so continuing on the journey, Frieren decides to kill a dragon to collect a grimoire from its nest. This requires a strong warrior, so she seeks out Stark, one of Eisen's students who once defeated the dragon in a staring contest and now lives nearby.
Tony Stark.
Stark admits he has never killed a monster before and only won the famous staring contest because he was frozen with fear. He's like, oh shit. Frieren gives him until morning to decide to help. Fern doubts he is capable, but Frieren is confident since, thanks to Eisen's training, Stark possesses the strength to cut through solid rocks with his axe. So he was trained by the dwarf at one point.
Cool.
So episode 6 is called The Hero of the Village. So Stark admits that even though he is strong enough to take on the dragon, he is too afraid to. Fern encourages Stark by telling him all he needs is resolve. The next day, Stark reluctantly agrees to distract the dragon.
All I need is resolve. He gets fucking smashed to pieces when he runs into the dragon.
So the next day, Stark reluctantly agrees to help him. However, Frieren points out that Eisen was always scared as well before a major battle. So even during their journey, Eisen the dwarf would be like where he'd be nervous, where he'd be rubbing his hands and stuff.
I don't blame him.
Yeah. Stark then engages the dragon and manages to kill it without needing any assistance from Frieren or Fern.
Yay.
Frieren collects the grimoire and Stark agrees to accompany her on her journey. The trio head north to the city of Wall, but find out the checkpoint is closed due to increased monster activity in the northern lands. Frieren is content to stay in the city, continue her magic research, but Fern and Stark grow concerned when they find out it may take up to 2 years before the checkpoint can be reopened.
Which is all right with her.
It's like, 2 years, I can do nothing. Stark reveals to Fern that he wants to go on an adventure so that he can return to Eisen to regale him with his stories. Fortunately, the city's Castellan recognizes Frieren, and believing that she is headed north to pass by the monsters, gladly opens the checkpoint for her. Frieren and her party are given a hero's send-off, which embarrasses Frieren, but Fern and Stark are excited that this marks the official beginning of their adventure.
Yay.
Because Frieren hated it whenever Heimel and Hyder and Eisen all went on this trip to begin with because they did the same shit so many years ago from the same town.
Right.
And she's like, fuck again. Because she hates being recognized as the mage of the hero's party. She don't like it.
How famous are they?
Oh, like completely famous. Like they have statues and shit built on them.
Nice.
So like there's episodes where they'll find statues of her and the rest of them. It's like, oh, like she doesn't want to relive it again. Episode 7 is called Like a Fairy Tale. So Frieren and her party continue to travel north, and Frieren explains the elven race has been declining since, due to their long lives, they are too apathetic to even reproduce.
Just stick it in.
They pass by another village with statues of her and her original party who celebrate Liberation Day. Frieren recalls a memory where Heimel was adamant the party leave behind statues of themselves as reminders to Frieren that they actually existed and are not simply fairy tales.
Huh.
So it was Heimel's idea. It's like, you know what? Get the good picture of me where he's doing all the posing and shit because he wants a good statue made. So that way Frieren remembers him.
So you remember this now?
So heading to another city, Frieren spots demons and tries to attack them, only to be arrested by the city guards for threatening peace envoys.
Huh.
Fern and Stark visit Frieren in the dungeon and reveal that one of the demon lord's lieutenants, Aura, has recently regained her powers and has been waging war against the city for 28 years, leading both sides to open peace talks.
God, dude, just add just huge amounts of numbers. 27 years ago.
For Frieren, it's like,
92 months ago.
it's like, for her, it's like,
Decades and decades have gone by.
yeah. However, Frieren warns from experience that demons are incapable of being reasoned with, since they only learn human language as a way to deceive humans. Like, they don't have no souls.
So you're going to stab me? Like, no. And you stabbed me.
Pretty much. Just as Frieren predicted, the demon peace envoy led by Lugner,
This is a German sounding name I've ever heard in my life.
it's got the 2 dots over the U as well, so,
Oh, boy.
are simply there to trick the city into lowering this barrier so Aura can raise it with her army. However, one of his attendants, Drott, heads to the dungeon to assassinate Frieren, but she warns him that she is far more powerful than Aura. And that's how the episode ends, where he's going down there saying, I'll fucking kill you, basically. So the next episode is called Frieren the Slayer. This was her name during the war.
Well, that answered that question.
So Drott ignores Freyman's warning and attacks her, but she easily kills him and escapes the dungeon at the same time. The city's Graf, Granat, becomes suspicious about Drott's disappearance and Freyren's escape and confronts Lugner. With his plot exposed, Lugner captures Granat with the intention of forcing him to disable the city's barrier. Meanwhile, Fern and Stark agree to warn Granat about Lugner when they come across Frieren. Frieren refuses to help them against him, confident that the two are strong enough that the two of them are strong enough to defeat him instead. It's like, no, you take on the demons that are in the city. She believes in Fern and Stark to be able to do it, though. So instead, Frieren leaves to confront Aura, this demon chief out in the fields, who is waiting outside the city with her army. That night, Fern and Stark sneak into the keep and work together to seriously wound Lugner. With Granat badly injured, the two adventurers decide to rescue him and withdraw. As he heals his wound, Lugner finally realizes that Frieren is in the city. He recalls how Frieren is also nicknamed Frieren the Slayer, due to killing more demons than anybody else in history.
Well, you're immortal. I'm sure that's easy.
You pretty much, just the shit just stacks.
Yeah, it keeps stacking every year.
Outside the city, Frieren confronts Aura face to face. And we end the episode with them staring each other down, basically. Episode 9 is called Aura the Guillotine.
Or the guillotine.
Yeah. The demon's name.
Yeah. Guillotine and the Frere. The Flair.
Frieren the Slayer.
Slayer, sorry.
And Aura the
I
Guillotine.
said Flair like she just cutting skin off.
Just pah!
Like, oh my God.
So Fern and Stark manage to get Granat to safety in the town church, where he warns that Aura's trump card is a magic artifact called the Scales of Obedience, which measure the amount of mana she and her opponent has. The one with the greater amount of mana can then dominate the loser, which is how she has created an army of puppets.
Dominate or dominate?
Not the not dominatrix title.
It comes out with leather strap, leather belt. I'm like, oh no.
I'm gonna dominate you.
For you, I love it. You ever seen that scene from what's the fucking movie? The Silence of the Lambs?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like bow, 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 wow, 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 and he's dancing. He's like, "Would you hug me? I'd hug me." I'm like, "Oh God, I'd hug me, you hurt, baby." You know the weirdest thing about that guy, that actor, he played such a normal character in the TV show Monk. He was the chief of police.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
the guy with the mustache.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the guy with you fake me, I baby. That's it.
I didn't know it's the same person.
I was shocked. I'm like, Captain.
What were you doing?
I saw Monk before I saw that,
Yeah.
so I was like, ah.
I didn't know that though. That's
It breaks like you're like, because you see them as a real person, right?
right.
Not as an actor until you see him in something else. Plus, when he was a racist in Wild Wild West, the Confederate soldier,
Yeah.
he was that character too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the one with the ear. He had that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't even think about that.
I was like, "Oh, wait, you're ruining my life, sir." But like his most famous role, you put some lotion on the skin.
And that's what he's going to be known for.
Basically, I guarantee if any Monk conventions, right, and they do just come up with lotion,
Here's some lotion.
it does what it's told. I gotta see that movie again. It is so trippy because he like legit has his fucking dick and balls tucked in between his fucking legs, and he just whips it out. Ah! He went so hard on that fucking role,
That's why I said he's going to be known for that more than anything else now.
and he's like his name was Buffalo Bill in the movie.
Yeah, I remember that.
He had 4 losses. But the Super Bowl, it broke him. That was the origin. The team lost, and he thought they decided to start killing people.
The NFL didn't do it.
Yeah, those 4 losses broke him.
All right. Let's see here. Frieren destroys one of Aura's puppets, and seeing that she still has no understanding of humanity, concludes that she can kill her like a monster. Back in the city, Lugner and his assistant Lenny ambush Fern and Stark.
Just a regular name, Lenny.
L-I-N-I-E.
Lenny.
I think it's Lenny or Lenny.
Wow. I'm going to go with Lenny. Lenny.
I can't remember how they pronounced it in the anime. While the demons initially have the upper hand, Stark learns that Lenny copied Eisen's fighting style from observing him in battle, but lacks the strength to execute his moves with killing force. And uses that to his advantage to purposefully take a blow from her axe so that he can land a killing blow on her. Because, again, he was so used to training with Eisen, he knows the full force of one of Eisen's actual attacks. He's like, psh, you don't hit like he does, bitch.
He kind of getting his head cleaved off. Like, oh.
Fern seizes the initiative by taking advantage of her main strength of being able to cast her spells more quickly than even Frieren can, eventually overwhelming Lugner's defenses and killing him.
Oh, no.
And then we go into episode 10. It's called A Powerful Mage. So, mortally wounded, Lugner is left to wonder how Fern is so powerful, until he comes to the realization that she has been suppressing her mana to look weaker than she actually is.
Oh, my God, it's so good. that or it's Phoenix from the X-Men Apocalypse, where what's his name? Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Tries to take over. He does something, and like Phoenix shows her full force, right?
Yeah.
He's like, I see it now. He fucking disintegrates. Or he says something like an epiphanal. I can't even say the word right. I'm trying to make it up. Epiphanal level.
Right.
Where he's just like, I see now. Or like when you say
strong she really was.
Right, she's like, I see the truth now. He fucking disintegrates.
That's kind of the way he sees it.
Because like a lot of people didn't like X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah.
But I thought it was brilliant that if Apocalypse was an ancient Egyptian mutant, right?
Right.
Who would transfer his consciousness to other mutants, therefore taking their abilities on top of what he already had.
Right.
So he was stacking different mutant powers. And what he wanted above everything else was to have full omnipotence in everybody on planet Earth, to see him as a god. So he wanted to have Xavier's body. And he would take his, telepathy, and he would, because he'd also enhance their powers. Once he, I guess his ability was to enhance powers, his base one. And if he had that, he would have basically been a god on Earth. because he could be in everybody's head at the exact same time.
Right.
That would have been. I want to see an apocalypse like victory comic book tie-in where he actually won.
Right.
See what the world would look like if he could control. Like then you couldn't hide from him. You couldn't. The only person that would be okay would be Magneto with that fucking helmet. So they'd be
The one thing.
they'd be making those helmets like as they'd be trying hard as hell to make those fucking helmets. Because you always have a little like you have to have a little splinter group that tries to oppose,
Yeah.
but you can never keep the like in public. You have to not have the helmet on, and everybody's mind would be fucking crazy. Like it would be impossible to do anything to Apocalypse because he could read your fucking mind,
Yeah.
and he could do it across the whole world.
Without the Cerebro.
Right. And like he like take over like and he threw all everyone's fucking nuclear bombs into space.
Yeah.
Like fuck your powers. Because he had connected to he connected to Xavier through Cerebro one time. Because he got caught by Apocalypse. He tried to use Cerebro to find Apocalypse. He's like Apocalypse like he had that weird like who's in my head, and like he actually flipped it and took over his body. And then he like took over everybody in the world's brain.
Right.
That shit is like terrifying to me. Cause you can't get in this. This place is a minefield of evil. Stay away from my head.
They'd run as soon as they get in. Like, no.
They'd be like, so your fantasy is a threesome with a clown and a mime. So you leave my fantasies alone.
Just the worst, the most disgusting things you could think of.
Or it'd be funny if like they don't even comment. They just leave my head and they just look at me and then they leave.
Shaking their head.
Just not even shaking their head. Like they just stare me down and it's like utter silence and they just walk.
Are you the best?
They're just like, they just fucking dip out.
Yeah, I can see that. All right. So in a flashback to 1,000 years ago.
God dang.
Yes. Flum comes across a destroyed elven village and finds Frieren the only survivor, having managed to kill the demon general attacking her. Flum decides to take Frieren on as her apprentice and teaches her how to indefinitely suppress her mana. So that's where Frieren learned how to do this, and then she taught Fern. She also teaches Frieren how to fight demons. Since demons are proud and self-confident in their own magic and are incapable of suppressing their own mana, she explains that by suppressing theirs, they can trick the demons into feeling a false sense of security where they can be destroyed in a surprise attack. The demons are too pompous.
Oh, it'd be funny, like, just hit him in the eyes. Right in the eyes. That's all you need. And they're like, oh!
And her last instruction to Frieren is to keep training and suppressing her mana and live in obscurity until she is powerful enough to defeat the Demon King.
Okay. So that's what happened?
That's how Frieren became so powerful.
Right. But so like the Demon King was killed before the series started, right?
Yes.
So he's gone.
Yes.
Okay.
And these are like little generals that were left.
That survived, yeah.
Yeah. So 1,000 years later, Heimel and his party track down Frieren and attempt to recruit her. Seeing that Heimel is instinctively sensitive, it can instinctively sense her true power, Frieren decides to join them. And that's how she joined their party originally. In the present, Aura uses the scales of obedience, but is horrified when Frieren shows the true extent of her mana, because she was suppressing it the entire time.
Nice.
And it's just like a little field around her when she was suppressing it, and then it just like expands like, it's like, oh shit.
I was so blind.
So then Aura is dominated by Frieren, and is forced to behead herself under Frieren's order.
Ouch. That's what Apocalypse would have done. Kill yourself.
Like, oh, yourself, motherfucker. We're done with you. So, episode 11, Winter in the Northern Lands is the title of it. After paying proper respects to Aura's victims and enjoying Granat's hospitality, Frieren and her party continues on their journey, but plans to drop by Alburst, or Elburst if it's German, a large magical city in the Northern Lands, to get a first-class mage certification that will enable them to travel through the Northern Plateau. However, on the way, they get lost in a blizzard in a foot of the Schwärmer Mountains, and Stark begins to suffer hypothermia.
Oh, it was real cold out here.
Fortunately, they find an emergency cabin and meet an elven monk named Kraft. Frieren and her party stay with Kraft inside the cabin for 6 months to ride out the winter. Kraft then confides in Frieren that he decided to worship the goddess of this world because, with all of his old friends dead and his accomplishments long forgotten, only she can remember his deeds and praise him whenever he finally goes to heaven.
That's why you got to write a book.
Yeah.
Everyone should write their own autobiography.
He then asks about Frieren's past, offering to praise her in the place of the goddess. This triggers a flashback where Hyder once said the exact same words to Frieren, and she declines Kraft's offer, stating somebody has already praised her. Kraft advises that Frieren cherish her friends and companions before parting ways with her and her party.
So he tried to worship, what did he try to worship her? Frieren?
Well, no, he was saying that if you don't want the goddess to recognize you, I will. Since they're both so long-lived.
She's like, no. He's like, oh.
She's like, somebody else already praised me at one point. Hyder, the priest.
Just completely ruined this man. Like he tried so hard, like, oh, let me have this one courtesy to worship you. And she's like, nah.
Well, with his response, he's like, oh, I see.
Oh, well, fuck you then.
And the last one we'll cover for today, because there's no end to the actual series. It just keeps going. So, episode 12.
Jeez.
Well, not that far, no.
How many episodes does this one have?
I think at the moment it's got somewhere around 20-ish episodes or more.
Amateurs.
But the season's not through yet, so I'll go to episode 12, and then we'll finish it again whenever the season actually ends.
Okay.
So episode 12 is called A Real Hero. So on their way to Alberst, Frieren and her party stop by the Village of the Sword, the resting place of the legendary hero's sword, so that Frieren can fulfill her obligation to regularly clear out the monsters attracted by the sword itself.
Huh.
Stark sees the hero's sword still embedded in the stone, and is confused because he was told stories that Heimel successfully pulled the sword from the stone. So the whole, Arthur type thing.
Arthurian legends.
Yeah. So that's incorporated into this. So there's a sword in the stone. Frieren,
You know there's a real one?
Yeah.
In Italy? They won't let me pull it out though. Apparently too many people have tried it and it caused some problems, so now they have it encased in fucking glass.
Oh, really?
You fucking assholes. My one chance to be the king of Italy.
So Frieren remarks that Heimel failed at pulling the sword, but stories claimed otherwise are the fact. She then recalls how Heimel was not discouraged at all, simply saying that he will prove himself a hero by defeating the demon lord without the sword itself.
What if it was in like a stone, right? Like a small one? And he's like, fuck it. So he just starts using it as a club. You know what I mean? Like he never actually pulls it out.
It just hits a people with the walk. The party then heads to the next town, where Fern learns it is Stark's 18th birthday. So she asks him what gift he would like. Stark reveals that he is not used to getting presents because his warrior family never celebrated them, believing he was a failure
Once a year for my birthday, my family would try to kill me. Happy birthday.
They considered him a failure, too, for being a coward, especially whenever he ran away whenever a monster attacked their village. Fern reassures him that she and Frieren will make sure he will not run away, and helps him buy a silver bracelet. Upon returning to the inn, Frieren has prepared hamburger steaks, which Eisen has always traditionally done on birthdays.
Aw. Hamburgers?
Hamburger
A
steak.
random choice.
Well, hamburger steaks.
Hamburger steaks.
Like where without the bun and with like a sauce on top.
Huh. Interesting.
They're really good too. Frieren reveals to Stark that among warrior cultures, a hamburger steak, or a Hamburg steak since it's Japan,
Hamburger?
is given to those.
Damn it, I want my fucking double Big Mac.
Is given to those acknowledged by us trying their hardest. This triggers a memory of her older brother, his older brother Stoltz, secretly cooking a Hamburg steak on his birthday, as well as being the person telling Stark to flee the village so that he can live. Stark then feels some closure, realizing that his brother truly did love him, even though his father may have not. But yep, that's where we'll go ahead and end the dive into this anime until the anime actually finishes out.
Okay.
And we can finish this one.